Wow. That might have been a nearly perfect presentation. My name's Yvonne, and if you're new to this channel, this is Speaker Breakdown, where I find speeches from the internet and I break them down to see if they're any good and if there's anything we can learn from them and copy and make our own and use in our next presentation. And today we are breaking down Professor Scott Galloway's recent TED Talk 2024. Now, TED Talks have really gone downhill. They've gone from being amazing to played out, everyone's done a TED Talk, to being super boring and not being thought-provoking anymore. But this speech blew me away. And in this video, I want to give you 3 things that Scott Galloway does that I think made this presentation fantastic. Stick around to the end because I'll show you a bonus one too. But let's get into the first one. Watch this.
Okay. I start us with a question. Do we love our children? Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise.
Boom. Like right away, it starts off with an opening that you're like, what? Do we love our children? Where are we going with this? Not only does it create uncertainty, which equals interest, but then he follows that up with a challenge. I'm going to try and prove otherwise. So right away, the whole audience is primed for information, and there's also a challenge there that they are ready to resist, which means they are listening. Now, that is a great opening, but it gets even better when you see this.
I augur the question that I hope has more veracity than it did 17 minutes and 24 seconds ago. And that's the following question. Do we love our children? My name is Scott Galloway. I teach at NYU, and I appreciate your time.
Did you see what he did? He went full circle. He ended with his beginning. He started off with a question and a challenge. Then he ended with the exact same question, and the whole audience, you could have dropped a pin there. Did you also see how he used a little bit of silence to really make that pop? Wow. And that's something we can copy. So the first thing we learned from Professor Scott Galloway in this amazing speech, go full circle. Start with a question and opening, and then end with that same question and opening. Tactic number 2. Okay, watch what he does now.
All right, this all adds up to a bunch of graphs all headed up into the right. And what are they? What's the first one?
Boom. This is the second strategy. Do you see what he's doing here? He's presenting you graphs without their context. So right away, a bunch of graphs, and they're all going up to the right. And you have no idea what these graphs are. Like, let's look at them again. Girls and boys, men and women, 4-year-old police officers. Notice that they're all going up to the right. There's a little bit of detail, but we don't actually know what they mean. What are these graphs about? Now, as he reveals each one, there's a little, oh. And this presenting a graph without context, then revealing the information, creates a response in the audience. And watch how he does it.
That's self-harm rates, which have exploded, especially among girls, since my colleague Jonathan Haidt pointed out it's really gone crazy since social went on mobile.
Boom.
What's the next one?
Reveal.
Teens with depression. The next one, men and women not having sex. Biggest fear.
So notice, as he's doing this, each one of those graphs now has meaning. Each one of those graphs, you, hey, you care more about, probably want more details on. This is the beauty of presenting graphs, and you can also do this with numbers without context and then revealing the context. It's a way to make any number more impressionable, more dramatic, and more memorable. And that's strategy number 2. So now let's take a look at strategy number 3. See if you can spot what he's doing.
A few questions. 1, if you acknowledge that our kids are the most important thing in our lives, that everything else we do here is meaningful, but our kids' well-being and prosperity is profound. If you acknowledge that they're doing more poorly than previous generations.
Did you hear it?
If you believe there's a chance that the illusion of complexity has done nothing to provide cloud cover for the unbelievable transfer of goodwill, of well-being, and of prosperity from young to old, And if you believe we can actually fix these problems and we have the resources, then I present to you.
Did you spot it? His use of repetition. If, and if. He did it 4 times. Now notice, this is a strategy, if you've ever taken in my courses that we talk about, is when you stack rhetorical questions to make people think. You don't have to answer the question, but by stacking them, what you're doing is making the audience answer the question themselves in their head. In other words, you are making them think. And if you can do that, is that not a sign of a successful presentation of a good speaker? So that's strategy number 3. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching Speaker Breakdown. Professor Scott Galloway, 10 out of 10. Thank you for being on Speaker Breakdown. This speech was so great that, gang, even if you don't care about public speaking and you just want to see an interesting, emotional, and thought-provoking speech, listen, I gave it 10 out of 10. I never do that. You need to watch this video by Professor Scott Galloway. It's going to be linked down below. And if it's your first time here on this channel, please like and follow. Please like and follow. Just push the like button. Push the like button. See what I just did there? Thank you so much for joining me. See you on the next Speaker Breakdown.